not getting rapid transit, and we're going to be affected by congestion, all the things that were not supposed to happen north of the 401. So that's the position we're in.
It's a stage approach, as I said before, and we simply can't do everything at the same time. If people are reacting to an $818 million project, it'll cost, I don't know what the figure is going to be, but it's going to be, it'll be at least that, I'm sure, in terms of future costs as well. You referenced a $1.9 billion cost at the outset. Well, that's for the 30 years.
Right.
And I don't know, I have never actually added up. I think I'd be afraid to add up the costs of my house with all mortgage costs and all the operational costs for 30 years. And no one ever does that.
Right.
So if those kinds of large figures are being thrown out by some people, that is disingenuous, because we're looking at the capital costs as we do when we buy a house, and we have to have the income in order to deal with that on an ongoing basis and paying the interest and the mortgage costs, but and maintenance. All of the costs that are going to be related, capital, operating, interest, replacement cost, works out to 0.7% increase in the property tax. That's $11 increase on the average household.
Is $11 too much?
Well, maybe if it's $11, let's make it $22, and we could have it in Cambridge. I mean, that's kind of the silly argument that we can use. I think you have to understand, like, when do you put a train system in? Right now, the ridership in north of the 401 isn't there to warrant a train system. It really isn't. And I think you have to look at that. I think we've lost an opportunity here in terms of regional hegemony, in terms of making the region whole. I think we really have. And we have split this.
Well, thank you. We have to go to break again, gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Welcome back. You're watching Talk Local. I'm your host, Greg Mercer, and tonight we're talking about the region's LRT system. There was a large contract awarded this week, and as part of that, Cambridge, as I understand, was told it was going to get express buses, and we have a gentleman who knows a lot about this issue, Cambridge Mayor Doug Craig, who's going to talk to us about how he sees those buses working.
Well, I mean, we're going to accept the buses we're getting because obviously we have to. But there's been this kind of flavor put out in the news media that we're getting, quote, express buses or rapid buses. That's not true. They're simply buses. They have a few jump lanes. They will be a little bit faster, but that's it. And when you compare them to the iExpress, they're no faster. And in fact, maybe more inconvenient, because once you get to Fairview, people have to get off and transfer to the LRT. When you have transfers to other technology, you lose passengers. It's a understood fact. And that's very severe for the Cambridge residents going to Kitchener and coming from Kitchener. We have, it's an unfortunate situation. It sounds great, but that's not really good for our community. When I ask the question, when is the LRT coming to Cambridge? Staff don't know. And so it's very difficult for us as a community to pay all the bills for everything and sit there in a waiting game in which we have no idea when any kind of rapid transit system is coming into the Cambridge area.
Is there a way to make this a fairer system for Cambridge? Reduce
Well,
the bill Cambridge has to pay?
Well, what I've said publicly, and I have a motion on the floor at the Regional Council, that Cambridge doesn't pay for rapid transit. We are not getting rapid transit. It's that simple. The ABRT, Adapted Bus Rapid, is not, under the definition of the EA of the region, a rapid transit system. It's just buses. That's what we should pay for. I'm prepared to pay for that. I'm unwilling to go the next step and pay for the LRT north of the 401 when we know we're 25, 30, 40 years out from ever seeing something down in Cambridge.
Maybe one thing you could help explain to viewers at home. You voted against the LRT this
That's right.
week. Our rural mayors, except for with one exception, voted in favor, but they don't get the benefits of the LRT. So
Well, they do get the benefits of the LRT, and they admitted publicly that they get the benefits of the LRT. They said it preserves the countryside line, it keeps development in the urban areas and won't encroach into the rural areas. And in fact, they publicly admitted they were getting the benefits. They're not paying. In other regions in Ontario, there are townships and other regions that pay. And they understand that it's a benefit. But not, well, if you want 4 votes to vote for LRT, you just tell the rural areas you don't have to pay. It's that simple. It's called politics. And if those 4 rural votes had gone the other way, it would have been defeated.
Does Cambridge have any recourse?
We don't have any recourse. We're politically the weakest sister in the whole regional setup. You have Kitchener and Waterloo that have 8 votes. You have the 4 rural townships that have 4 votes and half the population of Cambridge, and then you have Cambridge at 3 votes. As the second largest city, we're politically very weak, and we have very little emphasis or ability to overturn anything.
So
It's a governance problem. We have a severe governance problem here. Another show.
Do you think this could become an election issue in the fall?
Well, I think people in Cambridge in particular are really angry about it. They're angry about the biosolids plant. They're angry about the fact that, our hospital's taken 15 years behind the other 2 hospitals. They're angry about GO Service. That is, in fact, the best place for GO Service out of this region is in Cambridge. It's 50 minutes faster than going the northern route out of Kitchener. And they're now angry about the LRT. And I understand that. I mean, that's exactly what it is. But we're politically very weak because of the votes we have.
So just to be clear, there is a plan to extend the LRT to Cambridge at some point, but you're saying we don't know when it's going to happen.
You don't know when it is. I don't know when it is. Regional staff don't know when it is. Mayor Zaire doesn't know when it is. And that's not good enough. Okay? It is simply not good enough. And you cannot make a future council follow through on a commitment to Cambridge. They don't have to listen.
The tax rate increase, I'm told, is by your counterpart in Cambridge, or in Kitchener rather, is $11 a year.
Well, then make it 22 and give us rapid transit. I mean, that's a really silly. Politicians always break down the taxes into, like a case of beer a year or into a bag of groceries every 2 years, the same cost. You can't do that, okay? It's an enormous cost, no matter what the tax increase is.
What are you hearing from your constituents on this? What are people telling you?
They're very angry. I mean, I get it. People want to leave the region, and I understand all those sentiments. I think there's a great value of all of us being equal partners. We're not being treated as equal partners. The Premier comes into the region and she says on CBC, this is a KW high-tech region. She doesn't even understand what the region's all about. I mean, there's Cambridge with advanced manufacturing and else, and rural areas. And you got to start selling this region as a cooperative, equal venture between all the municipalities. That's not happening.
So you don't buy the argument, what's good for Kitchener
You
and
mean
Waterloo
you mean
doesn't-
the Ronald Reagan trickle-down theory? No, I don't
Don't
buy
buy it?
that. Yeah, especially don't buy that one. I mean, there has to be some equality, and it's not happening.
Is there anything good about LRT for Cambridge?
I'm trying to, I think, no, I can, right off the top, no. I think in terms of development, it's going to pull development out of Cambridge. I mean, if you're coming into the region, where are you going to go? You're going to go along the spine with the high-tech train system. Cambridge is going to lose development. The ABRT system we've got under the regional memos that have come out says we will not get development along that line, and we will not increase ridership, because the ABRT doesn't promote that.
You've tried in the past to buy some time to cancel the project or to pause the project.
Right.
It took a major step forward this week.
Yeah, it's not political. It's going to go through. I mean, let's be honest about what's going to happen. It's going to go through. The only hope, I would think, might be somebody on the outside that you'll be interviewing very shortly that has a planning an injunction. And I think it's unfortunate it even has to come to that. I mean, that's the dissension in the region.
But you support the injunction or the idea of
I'm
an
not
injunction?
supporting anything. Right now, I'm disappointed in the way the region has conducted this in terms of the political decisions that have been made. The staff at the region are excellent, no question about it. I may disagree with them at times, but they're very professional, and I think in a very volatile political atmosphere have done a great job. No question about it. I think the issue is coming down to governance of the region, equality in the region, and we don't have that.
And how much of a rift is this creating? I mean, you could
Well, it's
say there already was
pushed
one.
us. Yeah, it's pushed us aside. I mean, is the legacy a high-tech train, or is the legacy the division of Cambridge from KW in terms of working together?
Well, fair enough. We'll have to leave it at that.
I think so.
Mayor Craig, we really appreciate you coming on the show.
My pleasure.
Thank you. For folks watching at home, you can always tweet us at TalkLocalWR. You can tweet me directly at Mercer Record. And we'll be right back after this. Ran out of time. Welcome back. You're watching Talk Local on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Greg Mercer. Tonight, we are talking about the largest public infrastructure project this region has ever seen, the light rail transit system. And we have two new guests to make sense of it for us. Both gentlemen with me tonight have very different perspectives on this project and what it means for our region. We have, to my immediate left, we have Jay Aissa. Am I saying that right?
Correct.
Yes, who's a local businessman, and he is behind a grassroots group called StopLightRail.ca. We also have Mike Boos from the transit advocacy group TriTag, who are on the other side, and we're going to start by showing a video that Mike's group has made to hopefully make sense of this issue for you.
Ion Light Rail is coming to Waterloo Region. Critics say the trains will only run from mall to mall, or that few will want to ride it. But what's the reality? Where will Ion go, and who will it carry? Traveling along the Central Transit Corridor, Ion will connect far more than just two malls.